Hey, what's going on? We're back with our 2015-2016 NBA preview podcast, and right now we're going to be covering the Philadelphia 76ers.
Right, so everybody knows what this team hasn't done much over the past couple of years. It's win. Coming off of another disappointing season where they went 18 and 64.
Disappointing is the way to put it. I mean, they're trying to lose.
Right, well, for fans, I mean, it's disappointing. I don't care, no matter how much you want to buy into the team mentality, it's disappointing when your hometown team, the team that you love, is doing this poorly in consecutive years.
Right.
So, key additions for this team. Charles, I'm going to let you handle this because
Sure.
I don't even know what this team's got on.
They added a bunch more young players, some that have some experience in this league and some that are pretty new to the league. They added Richaun Holmes. They signed the draft rights they had for Pierre Jackson. They also acquired Carl Landry, which is pretty interesting. They also signed Kendall Marshall, and in part of the Sacramento trade where they acquired Carl Landry, they also picked up Nick Stauskas for basically nothing. They just acquired him for pure cap space. They also drafted the trio of Jahlil Okafor out of Duke, JP Tokoto, and Christian Wood. As for their losses, they lost probably one of their oldest guys on the team, Luc Richard Mbah-a-Moute, and Jason Richardson. Richardson retired. They also lost Thomas Robinson, Glenn Robinson III, Ish Smith, and Henry Smith.
Right, so obviously this team doesn't have much flash to it or anything to look forward to, but let's break down their lineup all the same. Point guard, Isaiah Canaan, supposedly is going to start. I know that there was a lot of talk between him and Tony Roden. I know Tony Roden's still kind of getting over some nagging injuries. Shooting guard, they're going to be playing Nick Stauskas. Small forward, Covington takes that spot. He was actually a really good pickup for them last year. He was a big surprise.
Solid shooter.
Yeah. Power forward. This one was interesting. Obviously, everyone knows they have three big men on their roster. Power forward, they're going to be playing Nerlens Noel, hopefully with his new refined mid-range jumper that won't cause spacing issues when they go to the center with Jahlil Okafor. So, I don't even know what to make of this lineup. They have some decent spacing between Canaan, Stauskas, and Covington. And if Noel can shoot that mid-range, a lot of people were worried like there's not going to be any space in the paint for them, but I think Noel and Okafor will really, balance each other. They'll complement each other well.
Okafor obviously really makes up for Okafor's lack of defense,
and Okafor makes up for Noel's lack of offense. It's a two-way road between these two, so I think that could be something interesting to watch for. However, I don't think anybody should be getting their hopes up that Philly's going to make some kind of turnaround because obviously they have that pick from the Lakers, and they're going to want to tag that up with another lottery pick. So They're going to be tanking, trying to get 2 high picks this year.
It's weird that they haven't gotten the 1 pick yet, or they really haven't even been close to it, I think.
Well, yeah, because other teams are tanking better than them even.
Yeah, it's too good.
Yeah, they're unable to be the worst team. So, stats for this team.
My stat for this team was the 76ers turnover rate last season. Their turnover rate last season was the highest in the league. It was 17.9. So 17.9% of their possessions, I believe, ended up in a turnover. So that really shows how dysfunctional and how disorganized this team is offensively, or how poorly this offense is run. I mean, Brett Brown really wants them to maximize their youth and athleticism by running up and down the court. But that's going to be a little bit different this season with Jahlil Okafor. I feel like with Jahlil Okafor now being probably their main option on offense because they really don't have anything else, they're going to be slowing it down a little bit more, having him post up, back into the paint, probably kick out to shooters, will be a little bit different for them. But maybe their turnover rate will still be high because of their lack of quality ball handlers on this team. So that's something we've yet to see with this team. See if they can slow down the pace and see how well they can play with a slower pace. I mean, they're definitely going to be a poor team, but the development of Okafor along with Noel will probably be the key storyline for this team this season.
Right. My stat went in the opposite way than turnovers. More, they focus well on turnover. The turnovers is a mess. Their assists to field goals made were all right. It was top 10 in the league somewhere. But my big issue with them is, like you mentioned, they're a young team. They're athletic. They're extremely young. They should be outpacing all these people. And they're scoring at the second worst rate in the league. Obviously, Minnesota taking that 30 spot, or rather, the Knicks taking that 30 spot. The Timberwolves took the 30 spot in fast break points. But the Sixers are not scoring well. 92 points per game, as opposed to their defense, which was lauded by other people for surprisingly being efficient. That was in the top 20 somewhere. I think it's at around 15 or 16. But even with their good defense, they're not stopping any. They can't score. They can stop other people from scoring somewhat, but they in themselves cannot score. So hopefully Jahlil Okafor really kind of runs away with that Rookie of the Year and kind of ups their scoring per game.
They really didn't have any shooters, especially with when they had Carter Williams. I think Covington and Kanan are pretty good shooters, but aside from that, their spacing isn't really too great, like you mentioned before.
Exactly. The addition of Stauskas, obviously in Sacramento, he wasn't super efficient. He really kind of caught fire towards the end, though. He was starting to show that form that made him such a tantalizing prospect out of college. Right after the All-Star break, in the last 20 games or so, he was hitting, I think, 40% of his threes. So Sacramento dumping him was very odd. Obviously, he hadn't panned out. It wasn't like he was a superstar for them, but you don't necessarily dump a lotto pick.
Yeah, especially after the rookie year.
Yeah, we'll see how Stauskas responds with that. He might have a good year just simply by being a good shooter on a bad team. He might put up some big stats. But
there really is no pressure on him right now.
Exactly.
I don't think he was a great pick to begin with for Sacramento. Now in Philadelphia, he could really flourish. Even if it's on bad percentages, he can make himself look good.
Yeah. And he's a stopgap. Even if you want to say his ceiling is maybe rotation player, we don't know, obviously, but he's not a bad option to throw out at the 2 guard, especially for a roster that employed fringe D-League talents.
Right.
So, other than that, obviously Okafor should be strong contender for Rookie of the Year. Nerlens Noel continued domination. He put up great defensive stats. If he can kind of show more of an offensive game, that'd be great. If we could see Joel Embiid actually play a game, that would be nice. Obviously, a big storyline to watch out for this team is who's going to get traded, because they can't really employ all 3 of these big men. But nobody's going to really want to take Embiid with his injury history right now, so it's a toss-up between Okafor and Noel.
Yeah, I feel like Embiid might get traded for a protected pick. That's probably
that's the best case. Out of him. Yeah, because
somebody might bite.
Dallas, call Dallas up. We go back to them. Dallas is desperate. Dallas is looking for somebody to man that spot. But yeah, so big picture, I think we kind of covered it there, but what do you see as a big picture for this team?
They can have up to 5 first-round picks this year. That's the big picture for them. They have the Lakers pick, as you mentioned before. They have a Miami Heat pick protected 1-10 for this year. They also have the right to swap a pick from Golden State. They own OKC's pick, which is protected 1-15 this year. And they also have the right to swap picks with Sacramento, too. So that's the big picture for them. I feel like this season is, again, they're trying to tank. That's probably the big goal, but you also need to develop Okafor and Noel as well. Noel played pretty well last season, and this preseason he's been shooting some mid-range elbow jumpers, and that's going to be an interesting development. He might not be a great shooter, but if he can just make a couple of them and have defenders be honest with him and play tight on him and not have to sag back, will be interesting. And like you were talking about before, Nick Stauskas is going to be an interesting pickup for them as well. He's entering his second year, which is really weird considering how high of a draft pick he was last season and how badly Sacramento wanted him. If you saw that video during the draft, how their owner Vivek Ranadive was like, I got to get Stauskas instead of some of the other guys on the board.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Brett Brown has been doing a good job. I feel like with his team considering how bad they are because he gets them to try on defense. I mean, they might not have that much talent on offense, but defensively, they're a decent team. But aside from that, not too great of a time to be a Sixers fan. Hope for Dario Saric, hope for Ben Simmons, hope for Skal Labissiere. Just keep on, I guess, waiting. Trust the process. That's the motto.
You mentioned Ben Simmons there. I don't think Ben Simmons would be the best fit for this roster. Ben Simmons is the exact opposite. They don't need more big men. They need somebody to come in and be that point guard spot. But obviously, without NCAA action kicking up yet, we haven't really. There's not that deep of a pool of point guard prospects. So,
yeah.
But we'll see. Quick, off the top of your head, do you know, is the Sacramento swap protected?
I'm on the page right now. I'll check that. Okay, so Philadelphia has the right to swap its 2016 first-round pick for Sacramento's 2016 first-round pick protected for selections 11 to 30. So if the Sacramento pick falls between 11 to 30, Philadelphia swap rights and Sacramento's obligation to Philadelphia will be extinguished.
Okay, so if they have a top 10 pick, Sacramento keeps it?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, looking at it like that, the Heat are not going to have a top 10 pick. So you're getting maybe, at best, an 11 pick from the Heat. Right, that one was top 10 protected. You have a top 15 from the Thunder. Obviously, the Thunder aren't going to be in the lottery.
Right.
So that's fine. Golden State is not going to be anywhere near the lottery. So the Thunder and the Warriors pick, I mean, they're going to try and trade that off in a package. But the Lakers pick, there's a very good chance that that's going to fall in like the top 5. But it's protected through 3.
1 to 3.
Yeah, so but I don't know how bad the Lakers are compared to the other teams. The Lakers might try to be worse, but we'll wait to see that. Obviously, that's up to the lottery selection then too. But I think there's a good chance they get the Lakers pick. Their own pick is going to be bad. And then if you can throw in like an 11 pick from Sacramento and like an 11 pick from the Heat, yeah, you're talking 4 potential ones close to the lottery.
Right.
Like, because the Heat one, I don't know where the Heat are going to land in terms of the lottery selection, but Sacramento should be in there. They shouldn't be, like, in the top 10. I don't know how bad they are compared to some of the floor teams now, but...
I mean, even if you have, like, a mid-first-round pick, if you have, like, a pick in the teens, that's still, like, a solid rotation player.
Oh, no, exactly.
That might not be what the Sixers are looking for. I feel like they're looking for a star, as you can tell by the MCW trade.
Yeah.
But... maybe they're trying to build something now since they already have so many young guys.
Listen, if they're not trying to build something with potentially 2 top 5 picks, 2 top 10 picks at the least,
right?
Like that, I don't know what you're going to do with those. That's 2 potential superstars because this draft, while it's not nearly as deep as a couple of the past years, I still think it can show to be a really good one. You know, we have...
top heavy.
Yeah, and you're getting 2 selections in that top half. But yeah, it's not going to be a good year to be a Philly fan unless you really kind of enjoy all that strategy of trying to get stars for the future. But I don't think you're really going to want to watch their games. Obviously, Okafor is going to be kind of cool to watch, but he has an old man game. You know, it's very slow down. Noel, he's defense. Nobody likes defense that much. I don't know. I agree. It's not a great year to be a Philly fan. But hey, look forward. Maybe next year. Maybe next year is the year that Sam Hinkie will put together a squad that's doing pretty well. You get a trade package with one of your 3 big men right now. You have Dario Saric coming over. He's another big guy that they might have to trade off. You know, you have 4 potential star big men on this roster when he comes over and Embiid gets healthy.
Right.
So yeah, excitement level for this team.
I have them at a 1.5. I mean, like you were saying, this is going to be a sad team. Like, the fans don't show up. The players don't really show up. They're, like, it's part of the plan for them not to show up. And they're trying to put out the worst basketball on the court. Like you were saying, Noel and Okafor aren't really 2 exciting players. Noel is a defender, and he's not, like, DeAndre Jordan out there where you'll have poster dunks. He's just a long, athletic guy that'll get you some nice hustle boards. And then Okafor... like, a lot of people compared him to Al Jefferson. I don't think a lot of people are clamoring to see Al Jefferson as well.
Yeah.
Like, this team isn't... I don't think they're as exciting as last year's team either. Just because they don't really lack a dynamic player like Michael Carter-Williams. I mean, Tony Roten is pretty interesting. Is a pretty interesting player when he's really on, but he's not even a great or even a good point guard. He's just very fast and very athletic, and that's what you're going to see with this team. And a lot of the basketball seen by the team is going to be definitely ugly this season.
Listen, yeah, Tony Roten, he's shown what he can do. He is a great ball handler. He had some times when he put on the moves on his defender and he would burst to the rim, like just do a dribble move and get by, and it was awesome. And then he missed a layup.
Yeah.
Like that was
he had some
standard
triple-double games, and he averaged like a lot of turnovers too, though.
Yeah. I have excitement at a 2.0 also. Obviously, I love young players developing, but honestly, the 2 is because of the young players. This team isn't fun.
The 2 young players.
Yeah, exactly. The 2 isn't because I'm super excited to watch them play and develop. The 2 is because they have a potential to be kind of fun at certain points. However, losing, as bad as they're going to be losing, and just the fact that they're losing on purpose. It's not like they're trying and hustling and playing their hearts out, rather. No, they're losing on purpose, which takes all of the fun out of the game. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little harsh on them, but here's looking towards the future and some development from all their young guys. And potential more young guys after this draft.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't even want to use stat predictions for this team, record-wise.
I don't see them getting any worse this year. It's between 15 and 20 wins for them this season. I mean, they went 18-64 last year, and I'm really expecting minimal improvement from them. I don't think they're going to get any worse by adding an offensive cog in Okafor. But aside from that, like they'll be watching the Lakers a lot this season to see if they get that 1-3 protected pick.
Yeah, I have the same. I say 20 wins. Just because you add a shooter like Stauskas and obviously a big man like Okafor, you can have the formation of some kind of inside-out game. And I think just those 2 players playing at a professional level will keep them in a lot more games offensively. And you still have Noel playing great defense. Covington showing he's kind of a two-way player. He's a little gem, kind of. He's very blue-collar. He'll score a couple points. He shoots well. He defends all right, you know. Yeah, minimally better. Maybe 2 wins. I don't think that they have the ability to get much better than that. So, yeah. Philly. Here's looking to next year. So, social media, before we get sad.
I mean, there's so much talk about Joel Embiid not being present at all on the court. This is probably going to be his second season missed because of foot injuries. But he's a social media star. His Twitter is pretty funny. I think he holds no reservations on Twitter. So when the Sixers drafted Jahlil Okafor, Joel Embiid didn't really seem too happy. His tweet was okay, ... LOL. And then maybe like a couple minutes later, he's like, hey, my boy's in Philly with me, # African Connection. So, and also, Jahlil Okafor also tweeted at the ever-famous Kendall Jenner. Hey, what's up? Hello, Kendall Jenner.
Oh, man. Kendall.
Yeah. How do you feel about... If Joel Embiid's career doesn't really pan out, what do you think he can do?
He can just be a mascot for this team.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think they need that bench mascot. Maybe he'll probably become an analyst of some kind. The college game.
Social media analyst.
Yeah. I don't know, though. I really don't know what else he's going to do. He was 1 and out. His career didn't pan out yet. If it doesn't, I mean, that's kind of the fear that so many of these players have is, like, you have to go to the NBA as soon as possible to avoid injury. But Joel Embiid barely avoided the injury.
Right.
So,
I mean, he was about ready to go. I think there were some videos with him, like, crossing it over and, like, doing a through-the-legs dunk or something like that. Did you see those videos with Embiid?
No, I did not. I've not seen anything with him.
Right after that, he got injured again and he re-broke his foot. I mean, Philly has a really interesting core of big men like we've been talking about. I think Saric is probably the next thing. Like, he's been really impressive in EuroLeague competition. He can really pass the ball. He can really do everything like that the other 3 big men lack.
Yeah.
I think that's something to look forward to for Philly fans. I mean, there's nothing really else to look forward to for Philly.
There's this draft, so here's hoping they get those high picks that they're aiming for.
Right.
All right, anything else to add about this team?
I'm hoping for Dario Saric. I'm on the Saric bandwagon before he even gets here.
One more year away.
Yes.
All right, guys, thanks for listening. We'll be covering the Phoenix Suns next time.
Okay, bye.